Welcome everybody to the Tangent Show. I'm your host, Rajiv Satyal. We call it the Tangent Show because we go on tangents, and we're tangents. So that's a joke anybody can.
I've always been a tangent.
You've always been going on tangents.
Yeah.
That's true. So I'm honored to be sitting here with renowned author and speaker, Dr. Deepak Chopra. And Deepak Chopra, I guess I should use my Indianness to get across the right pronunciation. We only have a few minutes, so I figure we can either go wide or we can go deep. And I'm a comedian, so let's go wide.
Some deep park.
Right.
You might as well go deep.
Let's go deep. Let's go deep. I like this already. He's got, he's into puns, rapid fire puns. So I'll ask you some questions to get to know you, and then your take on the world. So we'll jump in. So I said author, speaker. What do you consider yourself overall?
I don't know. I'm still deciding what I'll do when I grow up. I think the moment you define yourself, you stop growing. You stop evolving. So I stay away from labels, definitions, evaluations, descriptions, analyses, all of that.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting. So when you define yourself, you stop growing.
You limit yourself.
Right.
Since you're all possibilities, why not stay in the field of potentiality?
I like that. I'm going to tell my parents that for sure. What are you? I'm going to say,
pure potentiality.
Pure. I like it. It's better than kinetic energy. I feel like potential energy is at the beginning. When did you know you were good?
I don't know that yet. I think the moment again you know something, then it's over.
Sure.
Right. So I don't think in those terms. I just have three criteria. If what I'm doing is fun, the people that I'm interacting with, fun to be with, and is going to make a difference in their lives.
Okay.
If the answer is yes to all those three, I do it. Otherwise, I don't do it.
So should I go to the next question? Am I fun? Or are you having fun? So far, okay, we're okay. So far,
you're definitely B+.
Okay, B+. That's not good for my people though. What would it mean to pull a U? If somebody said, "Oh, he just pulled a Deepak Chopra," what would that mean?
I think there are so many parody sites on me already, and I think in a way, parody is a form of flattery.
Sure.
So I think anytime you say something which ordinary, I hate to use that word ordinary.
Now you've already said it.
But I've already said it, so I'll change it. Anytime you say something that the relatively unaware person finds profound, then you're pulling a Deepak Chopra.
Okay. I like that. Hopefully you find these questions profound. Would you rather find a snake or a ghost in your house? If you go home tonight and you find a snake or a ghost, what would scare you more?
Well, I think a ghost is what you and I are, because this is not the real reality. This is a projection of a more fundamental domain of formlessness. So this whole universe is actually...
It's all in our perception.
It's all a perceptual experience in consciousness.
Okay.
As is a snake. So why choose one over the other? The Indian sages always talk about the snake and the rope.
Sure.
That you perceive something as a snake, you get scared, and you perceive something as a rope, and it's fine. In fact, all of reality is both snake and rope simultaneously. So we are ghosts, we are snakes, we are everything that you can possibly imagine, conceive, perceive, and yet we're not that, because anything that you perceive, conceptualize, imagine, measure or observe is not reality. Reality is that which perceives, and that is invisible, that's formless. That's the only reality there is. The only reality that exists is dimensionless, formless, timeless, eternal, non-local being, and everything is a becoming of that.
Sure.
That's what. Now again, our ancient sages said, "I'm that, you are that, all that."
I saw you have that book on your shelf.
That's all there is.
So as long as I go home tonight and I myself am in my house, then that's good. Because I'm the snake, I'm the ghost. So as long as
I am in my house, I am now at the Chopra Center. I am talking about snakes. I am going to have dinner. I am enjoying this movie. The only constant is I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am this or that is in time. I am is not in time.
You know,
That's who you are.
That's the name of my tour this summer. I'm doing a stand-up comedy tour, and the name of it is the I Am Tour.
Oh, good.
So this is good. This is really.
So that's your mantra.
This is
I
my
am
mantra.
this or that
Mhm.
is in time. I am is not in time. Hold on to that, and that's your ticket to freedom.
Okay, I'm going to. Tickets are still $30 though.
Mhm.
You know, they're not free. There's no costless basis to this. So I don't know if you saw the movie Groundhog Day.
No, I don't see movies.
You don't watch movies,
I can sometimes show up in movies.
right? You've been in more than you've actually seen.
Yeah,
Like you've probably written more books than you've read.
No.
Well, maybe that's not true.
In my younger days, I read a lot of books. I don't read books anymore, but I write them.
You write them.
Yes.
But didn't Winston Churchill say, "History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it"?
That's right.
So you take the same approach. Okay. So in the movie Groundhog Day, Bill Murray lives the same day over and over and over again.
Which is pretty much everybody's life.
Right. Actually, they say that because he's talking to a couple of guys who are at the bowling alley or bar, and he said, "Imagine if what you did, every day you woke up and it made no difference to anybody." And as a joke, the one guy goes, "Well, pretty much sums it up for me." If you had to live one moment again, over and over again, that gave you intense joy or pleasure, what would be that moment? What would be that day? What is your Groundhog Day?
I have to think about it because I hate repetition. If I had to live one moment over and over again.
Yes, because in the movie he fantasizes about a great day he had. He's like, if only I could have lived that day over and over again.
No, I couldn't answer that question. I
Okay.
mean, I might relive a couple of moments, even that I doubt.
Mhm.
But I had LSD as a medical student, and
Mhm.
that was the moment worth remembering, but the memory is good enough now.
Sure. What is your first memory?
As a child,
What's the very first thing you remember?
the first thing I remember is suddenly being aware that I existed. That was maybe at the age of 2 or 3.
Okay.
And kind of looking at the world and saying, where did we show up now?
Wow. Okay. I was about 1.5 or 2, and I was in not my apartment, my parents' apartment, but this owl they had on the wall fell. And I remember being really scared, and like just a start came over me. So the very first thing I remembered was this moment of fear. Have you made it?
I think there is never a point of arrival. The point of arrival is always now. So I don't know what that question means.
Okay.
Anybody who thinks they've made it, I mean, I think we die thinking that there's something else
Right.
that needs to be done or hasn't been accomplished.
Sure.
And therefore, it's like those kids when I remember as a kid asking the question. Now I see my grandkids asking the same question when we travel. Are we almost there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are we there? Are we almost there? Well, we are almost always almost there.
Yeah. We just have to keep going.
Yeah. Because as I said, there's no point of arrival other than this moment. But then this will be over too.
It will be. Hopefully not too soon. Who has it figured out?
Who has it figured out? There's nothing to figure out other than that you are nothing that becomes everything. As long as you keep that with you, that idea that I'm nothing, that becomes everything, that loves everything, that feels everything, that's a form of figuring out.
That's something.
Yeah.
So what do you feel and where do you feel it when you feel this self-awareness or enlightenment? Now, I don't know if you would consider those synonyms. Do you feel it in your heart, in your head, in your gut, in your soul, in your spleen? Where do you feel this enlightenment or self-awareness?
Let me try something with you right now. And those of you who are watching us, they can try too.
Sure.
As you're listening to me now, become aware of who's listening. Who or what is listening to what I'm saying right now. Do it right now. But what you feel is a presence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Thought might be, I wish I'd gone to the bathroom before I started this interview or something
I
like
did do that. I was afraid.
Okay. So, self-awareness is not something that has a location. Self-awareness, as I said earlier, is not something that is in time. So, self-awareness is the presence in which experience happens. Any experience, thought, feelings, emotions, sensations, perceptions of the world, sense perceptions. When you say who or what is having that experience, you feel a presence, which is the I am, but it's not a person. In fact, even the person is an experience in the presence of who you really are. So
like the
self-awareness has no location.
So like the quote, "You do not have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body."
Yeah, simplified things.
That sort of thing.
Good for Super Soul Sunday.
For what?
Don't forget it. It's a joke.
Well,
It's a reference.
Okay. Well, I think you said thought was a unit of measure of consciousness, right? That was one.
A thought is a unit of consciousness, a quality of consciousness. Like, there are units of measurement of energy, of matter. A unit of consciousness is what we call a qualia. So it could be a thought, it could be an emotion, it could be a sensation, it could be a perceptual experience, but fundamentally they're all actually modulations of consciousness.
Okay.
Different modulations.
Okay.
Different frequencies.
Different frequencies. Yeah, I always think of that when I think of people in a certain space and how they relate to that space. So, for example, I worked in corporate America, and white men built corporate America. White men do pretty well there because they vibrate at the same natural frequency as the building. That's my.
But they screwed up the world too.
that's you, not me. But speaking of white men, Tom Ford. So I got to ask the fashion mogul Tom Ford a question. He actually came to Procter & Gamble, and it's a packed room, and I put up my hand, and I asked him, "How do you deal with the success of the brand Tom Ford?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I don't know, it just sounded like a great question." And everybody laughed. My manager face palmed, and he couldn't believe I had done this. But I said, "No, seriously, how do you know that you're still good? That people are buying your clothes because they're good versus that they have your name on them?" And then he kind of gave me an answer, but how would you say you would answer that for yourself? How do you know that your new material, so to speak? And because comedians go through this all the time too. How do you know they're laughing because the joke's funny versus the comedian's funny? How do you know that people are subscribing to your new ideas, especially your latest 21-day meditation, things like this? How do you know that? Or do you think it's more a function of the source?
When I'm doing something, it's in my mind, I'm singing my song in the bathroom, and then some people are listening to it and they seem to like it. And if they seem to like it, that's a good feedback that the song, some people like it. So, there's a poem of Rumi, I want to sing like birds sing, not worrying who listens or what they think. I want to sing like birds sing, not worrying who listens or what they think. That's my attitude. Now, over the years, I found that a lot of people like these songs. They keep writing them.
That's right.
In the form of books or whatever.
Or scopes now. You're doing Periscope, and you're pretty up and up with technology.
Yeah, I like technology. I think it's the one thing that can allow consciousness and its evolution to reach critical mass.
I'm not going to ask.
I think, and I'll say this, I haven't said this publicly before.
Oh, yes.
So may I say it for the first time?
Please, I'd be so honored.
We are living in an insane civilization. We are living in a psychotic civilization, but we call it normal. How can you call eco-destruction, extinction of species, mechanized death, drones, poison in our food manufactured by the industrial food complex, military as the biggest economic engine in the whole Western world, and everything that is causing social and economic injustice and disparity, if you think this is normal, then you're part of the psychosis. And unfortunately, we're in this insane asylum and we're stuck in it. I decided a few years ago that since I couldn't escape it, since you're in it,
Sure.
I might as well pick up my visitor's badge. So I think I'm wearing it right now.
That's the heart.
That's the
So it does happen in your heart. I like that. So that's the representation of that. I love that statement. I'm not going to ask you if you think things are getting better or worse, especially now. But given what you just said, which was so profound, if you had to give humanity a grade, have we succeeded or failed them? I mean, at this point, because to me, I think
the human experiment has failed.
Oh, so not the American necessarily, but just the human experiment.
The human experiment has failed, and that may be a good thing for nature. You know, at one point, extinction of dinosaurs occurred, and we are here.
True. Well, they say if humans if mosquitoes were gone, then all life would perish.
If what?
If mosquitoes disappeared, all life would perish. Right.
Yes.
Or insects, sure. But if humans disappeared, all other forms of life would flourish.
All life would flourish.
So we're kind of just like a disease for the planet.
Well, one way of looking at it is we are the cancer of the planet, because we are multiplying fast.
Sure.
We gouge, we plunder, we pillage every resource, and we multiply and metastasize. So one way of thinking is that this indeed is an anomaly. On the other hand,
okay, please tell me what's the other hand, because I'm with you on all that.
Okay.
I watch Vice, and I'm with you on all that.
On the other hand, we wonder, we are astonished. We have creativity and imagination, both diabolical and divine. We do have, I think, at least the experience of free will. We also have self-awareness. We are aware that we are aware.
Right.
Okay, which is an amazing capacity.
Yes, I read your recent fruits, vegetable, animals, and they
so all of that.
All that.
So this does give us the opportunity to recognize that we are at a crossroads.
Sure.
I painted the dismal part of the road we could take.
Or that we're currently on.
That we're currently on. Or we could take the other road right now. And so if we do take the other route, which starts with love, compassion, joy, equanimity, empathy, but also the Platonic values of truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, evolution. If we do that, and if we can somehow create a critical mass of consciousness, in my mind, for some reason, that's now 1 billion people. If 1 billion people took that journey of personal transformation, I think the world would transform, because the world is a projection of our collective consciousness, whether it's psychotic or whether it's divine. So I think we have that opportunity.
We have the opportunity.
We have that opportunity. Sometimes I think, why do I do what I do? I don't know what else I would do other than...
You can't not do this.
You do this, otherwise you go to the bar and get smashed.
You can't do both? Because I kind of like to do both.
Okay, you can probably do both.
Okay.
If
you can't, I don't think I can either.
My journey right now is, since I'm doing what I'm doing and I enjoy it, I might as well keep doing it. And in the big picture, it doesn't matter what happens. The universe will take care of itself. We are one little species on a speck of dust in a huge void somewhere in the junkyard of infinity.
That's what I always think about before I go on stage. I don't know whether to go that way and just like make it this small thing that doesn't matter, or build it up to be this really big thing.
Yeah, the big thing is you're the observation deck for the universe to look at itself. This brain here.
Right.
So that
matters.
That matters.
Right. It's like the man with the starfish, throwing them in the ocean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that. If you don't know what that is, I'll put comments out and all that stuff. If you had to say for sure, Who would you say loved you more, your God or your parents?
Say it again.
If you had to say who loved you more, would you say it's God or your parents?
We must clarify what we mean by God. God is not a deity. God is not some dead white guy in the sky. There's nothing like that.
Okay.
So, what most people mean by God is a kind of some Santa Claus-like figure that they were programmed to believe in when they were
When they were 3, 4 years old,
sure.
sure.
And that programming is very strong. But if by God we mean the consciousness in which the whole universe arises and subsides, the consciousness that is evolving to higher levels in its expression, doesn't need to evolve, it's absolute, but evolving to higher expressions of love, creativity, joy, compassion, truth, goodness, harmony, beauty, then God is all there is, and your parents are a symbolic expression of that, and therefore the question is, you can choose either.
It's one and the same. Do you think that there's something to this? I mean, and kind of going back to what you were saying, it seems like societies get to a point where they, and America certainly seems at this point right now, where the system doesn't seem to be working. And this is what you were saying, whether it's communism, capitalism, socialism, fascism, what have you. Do you think it may just be that we consume more than we produce? Do you think that's really what the problem is?
We consume more than we produce. On the other hand, the consumption is mostly by a few people.
Sure.
And, what was Mahatma Gandhi said, there's enough to feed everyone, but not feed the greed of even a single person.
Right.
So you can feed everyone, but not the greed of a single human being. It's insatiable.
Sure.
So yes, consumption is we have a word for it. We call people consumers. It's an ugly word to describe a stardust human.
That's what we
stardust being with.
That's what we stand for. It's just we're consumers. I'd like to be a producer more than a consumer. If I have to pick between those two.
Ugly. So I think the fundamental problem of human beings is they don't know who they are. That's the fundamental. In the Vedanta, they say there are 5 causes of human suffering. Not knowing who you are, clinging, grasping at the impermanent, being afraid of the impermanent, identifying with the socially induced hallucination called the ego, and the fear of death. Now, all these are called the 5 kleshas.
Wow.
And they have their source in the first axiom. You don't actually know who you are, because if you knew who you are, you're God in drag. all you have to do is take off the clothing and be totally resplendent in your naked self, and you'll see that you are the divine in manifestation, which is the basic fundamental principle of the great wisdom traditions of the East, particularly Vedanta and Kashmir Shaivism, and that your ticket to freedom is finding out who you are behind your assumed identities. Atman is Brahman. So that fundamental misperception of identity, see, your being has no mass. It has no location, it doesn't weigh anything. It's not Indian or American or Christian or Hindu. Those are all assumed.
Those are all social constructs.
You go beyond all the constructs, you get in touch with where those constructs come from. That's an infinite field of all possibilities. So, as I said, the solution to all problems is finding your true self.
I love that. Look, I know we're talking about Timeless and his book, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, but we're out of time. Which is
I don't think you can get out of time ever, but I do have another appointment.
That is the thing. I would love to continue the dialogue at some point in the future, but I have to say from the bottom of my heart, or wherever that may be, the bottom of my soul, myself, God, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I really, truly appreciate it.
Yes.
It was an honor. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Tangent Show. I guess that was episode 128. I've been your host, Rajiv Satyal, and I still am. And I am. That's how I close these things, and I still am. I still am. That's what we learned.